All right, we'll call our regular board meeting number 1508 to order. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
We do not.
All right, so may I have a motion to approve the agenda as it was presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and as we've been doing, we'll do a roll call vote. So Karen Schuster's a yes, Mike Shamia,
Yes.
Jen Miller,
Yes.
Christy Watts,
Yes.
Kathy Lorenz,
Yes.
Matt Alonso,
Yes.
and Mike Tishless.
Yes.
All right, and as everybody is able and wants to, we can rise and we're going to have an image of the flag and we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance together. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the
of the United States
States
of
of
America,
America.
and
And
to the
to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which
stands,
it stands,
for
one
one
nation,
stands
under
one
God,
nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty,
liberty,
and justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
Thank you all. That's challenging over Zoom, but I like that we
Not
have
our
that
best work.
tradition.
Maybe we should have just had one of us say it and stay in.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or the
If we-
word scrolled and we can.
Yeah.
There
If
we
we have to keep going with this, we'll reconsider how we do that. But
Yeah.
so real quick before we get into the meat of the meeting, we currently are under a stay-at-home order, and in order to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in our region. So, as a result, Lindbergh schools and all the St. Louis County school districts are using virtual instruction for students, and this Board of Education meeting is hosted live online. So we are conducting our meeting through the use of Zoom and streaming it live on our district YouTube channel. So just want everyone to know that. All right. And under 4.0, we are not doing our special recognitions. Once we are back in person, we will start those up again. So we'll move to 5.0 special resolutions and commendations. Nothing under 5.01, but we do have 2 consent resolutions recognizing our teachers of the year in each of our buildings and our support persons of the year in each of our buildings. May I have a motion to approve those resolutions as they are presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any questions or comments about those? Just so everyone knows, those people are being recognized in their buildings and in other ways. And hopefully we'll have a chance to do that in person at some point too. So no other comments or questions. I'll call for the vote. Karen Schuster's a yes. Mike Shamia,
Yes.
Jen Miller,
Yes.
Christy Watts,
Yes.
Kathy Lorenz,
Yes.
Matt Alonso,
Yes.
and Mike Tishless.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all. Motion carries. All right, under 6.0, that is our citizen communication regarding agenda items. And as we are not able to be present with citizens during our meeting, it is noted in the board docs that they can email the Board of Education at boe@limburgschools.ws, and we will answer those questions and respond to those comments as they come in. And at this point, I'm not aware of any. And when I say we will respond and answer them, that will be after our meeting. Which takes us to 7.0 communications. Jen, our calendar of events.
It's kind of a light calendar because everything's been canceled. But our last day for seniors is May 14th. I guess our last virtual day for seniors. And then the last day for the rest of the district is the 21st of May, which is also end of quarter and is a half record keeping day for teachers. And then graduation on the 26th has been canceled and another date will be announced later. And June 9th, we will have a BOE workshop, a special meeting for our oath of office for board members, a board reorganization meeting, and a regular BOE meeting.
Good. Thank you so much. Which takes us to report of meetings. Any meetings that we want to report on, in addition to, we were going to have a quick discussion about the virtual regional MSBA meetings. We all watched a video and we'll submit. Christy, I believe you said that you would submit a report on behalf of the board for us regarding that. So, so any meetings, let's report any meetings that you guys want to talk about first, and then we'll move into that discussion.
Meetings have been a little light, Karen.
I'm not surprised, as Jen mentioned. And the virtual meetings are continuing. We've had the chance to do the leadership briefings and that sort of thing, but okay. Well, how about, and Christy, not to put you on the spot, but do you have anything in particular you want to share? I know you you had suggested the video that we watched for the regional MSBA meeting.
Yeah, so hopefully everybody watched the emergency plan segment in there. I'm not sure it was enlightening, but it had a lot of great information in there. And so the 3 questions that we need to target or talk about are, according to the program, let's see, what suggestions provided in the program regarding emergency operations is most relevant in your district? And then the next one is, what are the strengths of your emergency plan? And the third is, what aspects of your emergency operation planning might be modified or improved as a result of what you've learned? So does anybody, so from what the recording video was, are there any suggestions in there that you think that we could benefit from? I don't remember the man's name, but does anybody have any suggestions?
I don't have any.
I was going to say oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Kathy.
No, I was going to say I have some takeaways. It used to be that in schools, obviously we planned and prepared for fire drills and tornado drills. And now even for the drills, we need to plan for how that mentally affects some students. So what I mean by that is not every child just takes a drill lightheartedly, goes outside, comes back in and doesn't feel a thing. You know, there are kids that are sensitive to the actual sound of a drill that happens. There's kids that are sensitive to, you know, doing the whole tornado thing and bending over toward a wall and being in a corner. I mean, the mental health aspects, that's what from this video I kept garnishing out was, and answer to your question number 3, Christy, Lindbergh has great plans for all of this, but just looking at from the mental health aspect every single time, it was really, I took away a lot of aha moments for that.
And I'll
Well,
say I was impressed that they said that was on the sheet. Like that was one of the first things that you should take into consideration, mental health of all those involved when you develop your plan. And I just thought that was really interesting because I think it's often something that's overlooked. And so I was really glad to see it on there. And I know from just previous things that have happened within our district that that's always one of our first responses is this is who you can contact if you need help, you know, XYZ kind of stuff.
Well, and also based on what was in that video in terms of an outline for an organizational response offered through the district, I actually think that our district's made great strides over the past few years, and with bringing on Terrell and so forth, who is an absolute expert in all of those areas, to moving ahead on those. So I really felt like, having gone through this, that I felt I had a higher level of confidence that we have been doing things that have been suggested and are moving ahead. Now, a lot about disaster preparation or emergency response often centers around, quote unquote, an event, whether it's a tornado, whether it's, an armed intruder, whether it's, something, that threatens our, student population, schools. But we would have never thought, of course, of something so widespread, universal, and long-term as what we're going through now could happen. And I suppose my takeaway on this is, if we were to, continue as we do, looking at our plans, revising our plans, and we're in the midst of it right now, is to, also embed those procedures we'll need when dealing with not only this crisis, but as I think Kathy alluded to, what happens in an emergency or in that event emergency during this crisis, when you might have social distancing or you might have other things going on, but students and staff could still be, you know, in danger, not safe. So that was my takeaway.
So I would just piggyback on what Mike said. Tara and I had an opportunity last Friday to be with about 40 different superintendents. We presented some of our work that's been going on in the district, but there was a superintendent, a wise gentleman that I know pretty well, said, you know, really school safety has changed through this. It's not just about, you know, keeping intruders and people out of the building and safe that way. It's taken on this whole other aspect to it now. So, and I think that's, Mike, what you were alluding to. It's not just about, you know, secure vestibules, what's your plan in an active shooter drill, bomb threats, you know, somebody in the community that's a threat to the school during the day, those kinds of things. It's about how do you keep your kids safe, you know, while they're at school, and keep them healthy, you know, around that topic. And so that group that Tara and I were with is meeting regularly on Fridays, kind of as a think tank, sharing different stuff. So I found that interesting. And I would just say too, from my perspective of what I watched and saw, validation is what coming to my mind with our work that we're doing. And, you know, our mindset is we can always get better. But a lot of those things I feel confident with, but just because we feel confident today doesn't mean that we don't need to be looking at it tomorrow and the next day. And what is it that we can do to get better? And, you know, I think we don't take any different approach to this topic as we do all topics in our work over the last 2 years in the district, is how do we get a little bit better each and every day that we come to work and we're servicing and serving our community. So.
I mean, I don't know that even like the smartest leader saw this coming. So really, it makes you feel good that I feel like we have a good foundation of what a plan is. So you can always rely on that. You have the who, what, when, where, and how in place, and you can adjust that to even something that you don't know. You know, the old saying, you don't know what you don't know, and this was one of them. So we have a good foundation.
Very true.
I think one of the things also that I took away from it was the culture piece that was in there. And I think we've definitely changed our culture around safety by hiring Terrell, but also putting up the fences. It's more of a discussion for us. And even extending the lunchtime, the power hour lunchtime. I feel like the kids are happier, and I just think we have a better sense. We just talk more about safety, and I think that then filters down into our students as well. And I think they feel comfortable and they feel happy.
Yeah, our number one strategy is we talk to our administrators and our folks is relationships and school safety. You know, you look at every potential bad situation in a school environment, it's somebody that did not have a relationship or felt like they had a relationship with a meaningful relationship with an adult in that school. And so, you know, our number one thing when we talk about school safety has to start with relationships, and it's relationships in everything we do, whether it's teaching in the classroom, whether it's giving back in the community, whatever it is. You know, we can't do our business without relationships. And so that has to always be at the forefront of all of our work is our relationships.
Any other comments on that? I would ditto what all of you said. Feel very good about the direction we're taking. Very happy that we're focusing on the students and that mental health aspect, social emotional. We're in a good spot. All right. If there's nothing else on that, Christy, thanks for kicking that off and organizing that. I appreciate it.
I even sent my form in too, Christy. So I'm good.
Oh,
I did too. Amazingly.
I know.
Send your forms in.
Yeah, everybody send their forms. She's doing the group one, but we all have our individual ones.
I learned from our fearless leader, Karen Schuster, to take a picture of it and text it straight from your phone. Cause I started thinking, how am I going to scan something? Am I going to go into the office? And I don't
Right.
even know if we have a fax machine anymore. So I was like, again, our fearless leader right there.
You scan it from the notes on your phone. It's easy.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do
You
that.
you learned how to do that. I was in the meeting where you learned that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jen
trying to
showed me
word
that.
it.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, I do kind of remember that. But Karen's like, I took a picture. I was like, hey, that's a good idea. Because I always see that little thing up at the top that I can push and
Right.
consider email.
Listen, if I can
I
do
just
it,
wrote straight
anybody
on
can do
my
it.
form with my pen, my Apple pen.
What'd you say, Mike?
If I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me.
Well, thank goodness you can.
Yes. And I did already.
All right, we're going to
Thanks,
move on
Christy.
to 7.04. Our upcoming board meeting agendas. Jen, back to you.
All right, our workshop on June 9th, topics are still being developed. If you're interested in anything, reach out to Tony, Dr. Lake. We have our special meetings for oath of office and the reorganization of the board. And then for our regular meeting, we'll be recognizing our teacher of the year and our support person of the year, as well as our graduating class and looking at their class profile data. We will review the SRO agreement with St. Louis County Police, and then we will have the OASIS report, program evals for gifted and honors program, as well as career and technical ed. And we will be adopting our budget and setting prices for meals and facility use, and we will have our CSIP first reading.
Very good. Thank you.
In person or online?
To be
That's
decided.
not-
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay,
Yeah, hopefully in person.
okay.
7.05, we don't have any appointments. And 7.06, we are not showing our board report, but if anyone is interested in seeing that, they can click on the link that is in board docs. So we'll go to 8.0, special reports, our cabinet updates. I don't have it open. Who's on the list first? Joelle, facilities planning, which you guys haven't met, so you can move right to finance if you want.
Our next meeting is 9/23 for facilities. Finance met on Thursday, and we talked about school finance a little bit, talked about our average daily attendance, which is our attendance data for the year is available a little bit sooner than it has been in the past. And so we've worked on that and got that finalized with the state. As you know, the state's not penalizing schools for the COVID days. Attendance isn't being taken, but those days are being waived in the state's eyes as far as funding. So that's very good. That's a positive. We went through the compass goal, just kind of showed the committee where the document was for them to review on their own. And then we did the budget workshop presentation with the committee. And that took about the whole committee meeting. So that was it.
Very good.
And then of course, look at the board items. Yep.
All righty. And next is human resources. Brian.
Our committee also met on Thursday, and we talked about the personnel report. Happy to report that certified openings are just about filled, other than those that may occur between now and the end of the year. As of that meeting, there were only 4 unfilled certified openings, and those are being worked on as we speak. So good meeting, and certified hiring, all hiring really, even in these unusual times, going as planned, and this kind of technology helps us do that.
Very good. Thank you, Brian. All right. And Tara, you have the next 3, starting with student life.
All right, so each of our committees have wrapped up for the year. Student life met in April, and really we used the time to celebrate the work that has happened through student life, and then identify how do we make that celebration public. So we've been doing all of this work within student life, but it hasn't necessarily translated into a public space in the way that we want it to. So starting to brainstorm, how do we take the work of that particular board advisory and turn it into website communication where the public can see that more specifically. So that really, that conversation and a significant amount of notes about where we go in terms of developing that communication stream were the result of that meeting. Technology also met for the last time, and technology has been broken up into 4 subcommittees throughout the course of the year. communications, professional learning, infrastructure, and then policy development. So all of those subcommittees converged together and shared the work that they had been doing and got some final input. For instance, one of the pieces that was part of that subcommittee work was the policy around staff communication, their personal devices, and how those are used, and what kind of assurances we want to make sure are happening in terms of procedures to protect student information that exists on those personal devices. So developing some procedural components, getting feedback on that, and we're in the process of finalizing that work. Infrastructure talked through the redundancy structures that happen with technology, how fiber is run throughout the district, and what is needed to ensure if there is a breakdown in that fiber. And then one of the things I'm probably most excited about that has been coming out of, that came out of the technology impact study, and we knew we had some work to do, but we have a full direction, and that is developing a catalog regarding the software that we have and the applications that are used. We've partnered with Education Framework to be able to run all of those applications through their system in order to determine who meets those privacy requirements that are required through COPA, FERPA, et cetera. So that's some really positive work that is going to be public facing in the near future and will help to guide our teaching staff as well. And then teaching and learning has actually had 2 meetings since our last one, because we needed to reschedule one that we canceled right after spring break in the midst of moving to a virtual experience. So our first teaching and learning meeting from this last month was based around computer science. And if you are not aware, Doug Barton, our STEM coordinator for the district, was a part of writing the computer science standards for the state. So what he's done over the course of this year is worked with our elementary curriculum writers to identify where are those standards currently in existence within our curriculum. What is the overlap with math, with science, with our library media standards? And then identify those strands that really don't currently exist within our elementary curriculum, and how do we shore up those learning experiences for students. So we had a great conversation, broke out into breakout groups around how we integrate that work, what we're looking at in terms of what instructional tools will be used, and then gaining feedback. And then we've had some follow-up communications with members of that team as well, giving some additional thoughts. So a lot of passion around computer science, rightfully so. The fact that we're all on Zoom right now and we are dependent on computer scientists to function at this point in time, there's a significant skill set there. And then today we had our final teaching and learning board advisory, and we spent the meeting talking about the virtual learning experiences that are currently in place. So we have the opportunity to learn from what has happened over the last 2 months and figure out, how do we improve this? How do we make it better? And we were able to survey our teachers, our parents, our elementary students, our secondary students, and the teaching and learning board advisory looked at a summary of all of that data and then gave their own personal experiences. So we were able to identify some really key areas that, as we continue to think about the future and what alternative methods of instruction, or what we're doing currently in virtual learning, how that can be improved upon to meet more diverse needs of families.
Very good. Thank you, Tara. A lot of good work. Any questions or comments on those updates that we just got?
Hey, Karen, I would just want to just publicly say, I don't know how many people are out there watching. If any of our parents or patrons are there, we just want to say when we established these committees 2 years ago, half of the committee was a 3-year term, the other were a 2-year term. So we have some folks cycling off, and just want to say thank you to them publicly for their hard work and sharing their expertise and their knowledge with us as we began our journey 2 years ago on, what does the student experience look like for a 21st century kid. And so I just want to say thank you publicly, and we'll be adding some new members this summer. So if you're out there listening and you're not part of you're not part of a board advisory committee, those applications will be coming out in July to fill those vacant spots. So
Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
And those will go out via email and be on our website?
Yes.
Okay. 8.02, a curriculum update. Tara, do you have an update for us?
We do not have one this month.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I wasn't positive. Okay, thank you. So that takes us to 9.0, our action items by consent. We have items 9.01 through 9.12. Are there any items that a board member would like to remove off of the list and consider individually? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the action items by consent as they are presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments, discussion on any of the items? All right, hearing none, we will go ahead and go through our roll call. Karen Schuster's a yes. Mike Shamia,
Yes.
Jen Miller,
Yes.
Christy Watts,
Yes.
Kathy Lorenz,
Yes.
Matt Alonso,
Yes.
and Mike Tishless.
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to find all of you as I say your names. I'm like getting dizzy. A motion carries 7-0. All right, so that takes us to 10.0 individual action items, but we don't have any. Under 11.0 reports, we have one for the record, and that is the compass for 2021, our Lindbergh cabinet goals, which we obviously reviewed in a lot of detail at the workshop. So it's here for our information. And if there are any other questions, comments, discussions, obviously reach out to one of the cabinet members and ask them about that. Okay. Which takes us to 12.0. And again, citizens can email our boe@lindberghschools.ws with any questions and comments, and we will respond at a later date. So we moved to 13.0, a call for executive session. Like a motion to call for executive session on June 9th.
So moved.
Second.
All right. And a roll call vote again. Karen Schuster. Oh, is a yes. I'm listening. Mike Shamia.
Yes.
Jen Miller.
Yes.
Christy Watts.
Yes.
Kathy Lorenz.
Yes.
Matt Alonso.
Yes.
And Mike Tishless.
Yes.
These virtual meetings are getting to me. Need to be back in person. We don't have a need to recess. We've already held our executive session. So let's go to adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay. How about all in favor? Give a thumbs up and say yes.
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 All
Thank
right, I
you.
see all 7. Very good. So motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.